Information fueled,
opinion driven. This is Nashville's Morning News with Dan Mandis.
And so, my fellow Americans,
we talk news.
8:07, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Along with Jay Harper, Johnny B, Dan Mandis here indeed. It's a great morning in America as Donald Trump. It's so interesting. Fox News is saying that Donald Trump is projected to be the president-elect. I'm a little confused why they would say that, because last night they literally called him the winner. They said that he was the winner of the campaign. Maybe I'm just a little confused as to how exactly it is that they deem someone the actual winner. But I mean, when you look at the number of electoral votes, when you look at the popular vote as well, even though we go by the Electoral College, it is clear that Donald Trump is the winner and the president-elect. I want to welcome on into the program Congressman Andy Ogles. And Congressman, you of course won re-election. Now that Donald Trump is the president-elect, when he gets into office, do you think that he can get your phone back from the FBI?
I guess we'll see. I mean, I was texting with the president last night before the returns started coming in, and basically, I won't tell you exactly what we said, but basically told him to kick her butt, and that's what happened. I mean, so a glorious day in the Republic. We won handily. I think America has spoken that the broken policies of Joe Biden are unacceptable.
I got to ask, the FBI investigating your campaign finances, it feels like you kind of went dark after that. I guess the question is, what is going on with that investigation? And do you think that Trump now being the president-elect, is there anything that he can do about this investigation? Where does that all sit?
Yeah, so we filed a lawsuit against the government for violating the speech and debate clause, which prevents the executive branch from spying on members of Congress, kind of simply stated. And so, we expect to fully win that. It just takes time. So that's kind of where it is. It's hurry up and wait. But as far as the campaign finances, we did our audit, hired a company to do it. We filed amendments to fix any and all mistakes that we could find. And so we've been proactive. I've been proactive. Obviously, I hired people to do that. But, so we expect this to fully play itself out. Whether or not Donald Trump will even need to weigh in, I doubt it, but I guess to be determined.
It obviously didn't hurt your reelection campaign. When you're out on the campaign trail, did a lot of people ask about that kind of thing? Or, do people feel like maybe it was last time I had you on, you were talking about how this seemed like it was sort of retribution for you being incredibly outspoken against Alejandro Mayorkas, Joe Biden, and of course, Kamala Harris?
Well, that's my personal opinion. I think, when you look at the weaponization of the Justice Department against Donald Trump, it kind of speaks for itself that in many cases, politics, weighed in. And that's unfortunate, to have a Justice Department that does that. But I fully expect Donald Trump to come in and, restore the Republic, not only in our position in the global stage. If you listen to his comments last night, a new dawn, a new age, a new era for America. And that's what the world really needs and is looking to. Obviously there are those that want to see America on its knees, but I, for one, ran for Congress to make sure that never happens. It's a great day. And, I was cautiously optimistic we would win, but when you look at popular vote in Pennsylvania and Wisconsin, this is a sweep.
Let me ask you, so heading into 2025, and as you said, it's a new dawn, it's a new day and all that. What are you hoping to accomplish in this next legislative session? It sounds like, and I don't know what you're hearing, there seems to be some debate as to whether or not the Republicans will retain the very slight majority that you have in the House of Representatives. What are you hearing?
Well, I think we're going to have the majority in the House. Still quite a few races yet to be called. You'd like to see the margins grow, but, from the flip side, to have the House majority and it be a slim majority puts a lot of opportunity and importance on the House Freedom Caucus, of which I'm a member of. I talk to the President Donald Trump fairly regularly. I have several pieces of legislation bills that in some form or fashion, I think you'll see put forward again in this next House, like the Send Them Back Act, which would allow us to expedite deportation of those that are here illegally, especially if they're criminals or if they're from a country that intends to do us harm. And so those types of things. In fact, I spoke to the president this morning. And so I think there's a lot, I, as a freshman, offered the most legislation of any member of Congress, a freshman member of Congress in history, also passed the most legislation out of the House. And hold that record as well. So with that being said, I'm an active legislator. I'm very outspoken. I'm not going to back down. I'm going to continue to be prolific and work closely with the President of the United States.
So how was Trump this morning? I'm just kind of curious. Was he, he's got to be fired up. You could tell he was tired. So it was really one of those moments. So when I'm in town, I always fix a full breakfast for the family. And it's like, hey, guys, y'all want to call the president? It's going to go to voicemail. And we'll just say, congratulations, Mr. President. And so it rings like 3 times. And, I'm waiting for that moment. And I'm going to give the family the cue to drop him a message. And he picks up. He kind of fumbles with the phone. And there's some noise in the background. So, he wasn't asleep. But you could tell he was just tired. But he was, just good mood. He actually talked to the family, thanked them and for calling him, et cetera. So, but, again, this new age, this new dawn. And I just, again, congratulated him on his victory. But there's a lot of work to be done. And just so you know, the President of the United States was probably up till 2 or 3 in the morning. And this morning when I called him, he was up working already. And so, and took the time to speak to my family. He's ready to go and it's going to be an exciting time for the country, for the House as we move forward. Well, clearly he's fired up. It's going to be a different dynamic for you because you're now going to have a majority in the Senate. You're going to have Donald Trump in the White House as well. So this is going to be, a legislative session where you folks, if you have a majority in the House, we have a majority in the Senate, and we'll have the White House. There's going to be a lot to get done. This is going to be a definite opportunity. I know that the deportation I'm seeing online, people on Twitter saying the deportation process starts, day one. There's a lot of things that Donald Trump wants to do on day one. There's a lot of things that the American people want Donald Trump to begin on day one. I spoke earlier about taking a look at the cases of the J6ers, which I think does need to be a priority as well. So there's a number of things that the president wants to do. There's a lot of things that he can do as he heads into the White House for another presidential term in 4 years. I personally can't wait. But when you look at all the things that he wants to do, people are saying that he's going to bring in an enemies list into the White House. Now, I know that you don't, have a peek inside his administration too much, but I actually don't mind him bringing in an enemies list. I spoke about this here in the last couple of days because there's a lot of people in Washington, D.C. who have been actively working to try and get Donald Trump to, number one, not be even able to run for re-election, try to take his name off the ballot in some of the states across America. You got Merrick Garland, of course, Jack Smith. I could go on and on. But when it comes to this notion of retribution with President Trump coming into office, did he give any kind of an indication as to what direction he wants his second term in office to be? He just says that he wants to rack up wins.
Yeah, I think, obviously this is a man who's in his second term as president. I think he's going to be thinking about legacy. He truly, I can tell you from my personal experience with the president, he truly loves this country, truly wants to restore it to the greatness that our founders, envisioned. And so I think that is the guiding principle as you move forward. Might he hold a grudge here and there? Well, maybe. But that being said, it's about restoring the constitutional principles that we're supposed to adhere to. And you've seen this administration and the Justice Department, just to name one, that have trampled all over the Constitution. And that's a scary time in our history that suddenly that the Constitution is malleable. So whether you are a Republican or a Democrat, conservative or liberal, that Constitution protects you regardless of what side of the coin that you're on. And so it can be weaponized in either direction. And so one thing we should all agree on is that the Constitution should not be malleable. It should not be trampled on by the executive branch, and we've got to restore that. But I would expect, to your point, this next 100 days, if not the first 2 years, are going to be a whirlwind because the president has a very long, very detailed agenda, and the House of Representatives, we're going to have to be churning out lots of good legislation to enact those policies. So that's what I signed up for. Again, I'm a very prolific legislator, so I'm ready for the task, but it's going to be busy. I expect us to spend most of our time in D.C. the first 3 or 4 months.
So not to throw this crap out there right away, but your thoughts on Mike Johnson being Speaker of the House?
Yeah, I mean, I think his fate as Speaker, and this is just me, guessing, is tied to whether or not we retain the House majority. Mm-hmm. I think if we have the majority, again, I can't speak for the president. My guess is whether publicly or behind the scenes, he'll support the Speaker. If we lose the majority, then I think it's kind of a cage fight as to who becomes the next Speaker, or minority leader. But that being said, I do expect us to hold the House, albeit by a very slim majority.
All right, Congressman Andy Ogles, as always, appreciate you being on Nashville's Morning News, and we'll check in with you sometime soon.